Hi Stampers, I'm Meg from LovenStamps, and I have another Under My Umbrella project to share with you. This one features a drapery fold card, but I know drapery folds have been around forever, like 20 years, as long as I've been stamping for sure. And this one is a little different though, because it features a DSP card base, a designer series paper card base, which is a passion of mine over the last year or so. So here is how this works. It's got a drapery fold on the front, but the card base itself is still designer series paper. So you can kind of see how those fun pleats come out on the card. So this is actually not a difficult technique to do, especially when you have a scoreboard or a scoring tool. And here is a second version of the card with just a little different scoring requirements. And you can see how I love this ornate borders feature here from that same suite of new catalog sneak peek things. So grab your stamps and I will give you some great directions for putting this card together. Let's get stamping. Okay, so I have my pieces ready to go, and my main card base here that's going to be our DSP card base is actually 12 inches long by 4 inches tall. And the reason it's cut that is that you can get 3 of them out of one full sheet of designer series paper. So I'm going to grab my Simply Scored tool here, which is one way to do your scoring. You can also use the paper trimmer, works great. And I'm going to go ahead and give you the scoring sizes for this. And remember, this card is part of the tutorials that are available as my freebie to you, my free thank you for supporting my business and supporting my videos if you place an order with me during April. So anyway, let's go ahead and get scoring. I'm going to go ahead and score first at 4.5. At 6 inches, at 6.5, at 8 inches, at 8.5, at 10 inches, and at 10.5. And the scoring that I did for the ornate garden is a little bit different. So if you want to check my blog post and I can give you those dimensions too. But first thing you're going to do now is you are going to go ahead and fold where the center of your card is going to be. And this is a 4.5 inch wide card. It's a little bit different than what we normally do. So then I am going to pull in my paper trimmer because the next thing I need to do, I've got this marked here by folding it really well, but I'm going to open it again because I need to cut out a wedge from here to here. So I'll do my paper trimmer a little bit sideways. Usually I use it like this, but I'll try doing it this way so you can kind of see the action. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up in the cutting track here the edge right there, you'll just have to trust me on it, where my score line, my 4.5 score line runs right there. And then I'm going to hold this kind of in place and I'm going to swing this. Do you see how you can kind of change the angle? You can make it deeper, shallower, whatever makes you happy. Just make sure you're still in the scoring track there, the cutting track, and then you can go ahead and close it. And this cutter actually lets you have paper that goes off the edge, which is a really nice thing. Some trimmers won't let you do that. You can save that for flowers or whatever. And then here we have our end piece all set. So I'm going to now start zigzag folding. So the first one is going to fold that way. Wait, did I totally do this? Oh, here's the first one. It's back here. That's why it looked wrong. Okay, it's going to fold back on itself and then forward. So there's our first pleat, and then my next one's going to back and forward. There's our second pleat, our third one, and so forth. Now, you could really make your pleats pretty much any size. You just want the pleats, so this dimension right here, to be the same. So if you're into like engineering card sizes, feel free to adapt this. But I particularly like the way this one comes out. So we're going to get those all settled down. And then the last thing I'm going to do is start adhering those. Now for this, you want to use strong adhesive, such as tear tape, because these guys don't really love to stay down. The paper kind of wants to be flat. So in each of these pleats, I'm going to put a piece of tear tape. It doesn't really matter which side you put it on, as long as you go ahead and get the pleat on one side or the other. And then I'm going to pull these off. You can take your pick tool. I happen to have an old piercing tool handy. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to fold these all up so that we have our pleats there on the front. Now, you'll see what happens here. Ding! My card does this weirdness thing. So what I have to do now is go back and add a piece of tear tape in each of these pleats on the inside of your card. So you're going to tear tape both on the front and on the inside. so that you get all of the pieces done. And if you thought you were done and you're got some pieces that are just kind of sort of popping out all over the place, then just know that you need to go back and add some more tear tape in there. All right, so, and it doesn't really matter the order that you do them in. Remember, the harder you push down your tear tape, the easier it is to get off the backing, okay, because that sticky layer will just stick down. All right, so there is our card base. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and take a piece of cardstock. It's going to go in the middle. This one is 3 3/4 by 4 1/4, and we're going to start doing some stamping here. So I'm going to slide my paper to the side and grab my inside, and then our pieces here that we're going to put our greeting and our umbrellas on. Now, when you stamp your umbrellas, think about where the punch is so that you'll make sure you're able to reach the images that you've stamped. So I know that, here, I'll turn it this way for you. I know that my umbrella is going to go this direction for this one, and then this one has to come in from this side. So you can always do a sample thing there to make sure you got it pointed the right direction. Otherwise, you end up having to go back and trim it, which isn't the end of the world. So you can go ahead and, actually I like to color before I do that, so I'm not gonna punch that yet. You'll just have to hang on to that. And then I'm gonna take our greeting here, no matter the weather, we're friends forever. And because I have my trimmer handy, I'm gonna go ahead and trim that up so that it is closer to the size that I want. And one of the things I love about this trimmer is that it locks the paper in place when you hold the handle. Ding! Then I can take, there's my score, I'm going to skip, take my blade and just cut right across there. And even little tiny fragments like this are great because they will stay there under our trimmer. So we've got this, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut a banner tail. You can also use the banner triple punch to do that little tail there. Whatever makes you happy. And then I'm going to go ahead and add, we'll just add some flowers in the corners, kind of my go-to for the inside of these umbrella cards. Okay, so to color now, I'm going to use my Stampin' Blends, which are alcohol markers. And because our soft suede ink is classic ink, then I don't have to worry about that ink running when I color over it. So I'm going to go ahead and do some all over. This is my lighter of my Calypso Coral markers. I'm going to do my all over of Calypso Coral, and then I'm going to go ahead and add some darker spots because our umbrella sits upside down, and this Calypso Coral marker has a really strong difference between the light and the dark. So I'm going to sort of round that out a little bit. Okay, and then, now I know that's really, really stark. What I'm going to do is use my light to burnish the color between the light and the dark margin. See how that works? So what I'm doing is I'm using the alcohol and the marker to kind of push that color around, and it layers the color then across there so that it's not all quite so dark. Kind of see how that works? You can even see from left to right how the color is moving around. There's pigment, and the pigment's carried by the alcohol and the marker. So as you slide that around, you end up moving the pigment on the page. It's really cool. And I'll show you the back here in a second when I'm done coloring. The reason that the reason that the Stampin' Blends bleed through is because there's moving that color around and it saturates the paper. So if you're having trouble with your Stampin' Blends, I highly recommend the Whisper White cardstock here. I love the way it moves the color around. So you can kind of see the back there, but our color is our umbrellas are going to be layered, so we won't see those. All right, so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the yellow. Okay, and once I've got those colored, then I'm going to go ahead and use my punch to go ahead and punch out those areas. All right, so we've got one umbrella and two umbrellas. And for this card, instead of using the stamped handle, I am going to go ahead and punch my handles from a strip of soft suede cardstock, which just gives you kind of a different effect. You can kind of play with each project you make with this set and decide whether you prefer the cardstock handle or the stamped handle. I find that I pick mostly based on what the background of my card is like and how strong that background is, and whether I need a stronger, because there's so much flowers on here, this strong solid handle color is a really great way to have the handles handles of your umbrellas be seen. So, all right, now when you do DSP card base, you always want to put a full layer inside because it helps to stabilize the card. Okay, so now I've got that. And then on our front, I've got our greeting, and I'm gonna go ahead and attach this with tear tape. And usually I wouldn't use tear tape to put something like this down, but because we've got all those pleats on here, this is just one more layer to make sure that our pleats stay exactly where I want them to be. So I'm gonna pop that on there towards the top, okay? And then we have our umbrellas. So if you've seen any of my other umbrella videos, you'll know that my favorite way to attach these handles is to go ahead and pop a Stampin' Dimensional on my finger. Drop a Stampin' Dimensional right there at the intersection where the umbrella and the handle cross, just like that. And then you can put more dimensionals on the back of these if you want to, or you can just call it even. But I'm going to go ahead and layer these. Let's see, I think I did one kind of this way and one kind of this way. I'll put my yellow one on top. So there are our two umbrellas. No matter the weather, we're friends forever. And then of course we need an embellishment, which is the gilded gems, because they are amazingly fabulous. And I'm going to go ahead and pop a couple of these on here. Let's go crazy. We'll do a couple. Oh, gotta get my fingernails out from under there. And let's see, 1, 2, 3. Now, usually I do gems and things like that in odd numbers. They're just a little bit easier to look at. So I'm gonna kind of decrease in size, and we got 5 on there. So there is our really fun Under My Umbrella card featuring those same supplies that are done here using, wait for it. Here we go. Done using the Ornate Garden Suite, which is the new one in the occasion, or new one for next year's annual catalog. So this border right here is a really fun addition to this card. It just really dresses up that nice edge. And that is using the layering Your Ornate Borders dies, which are available also in my online store. So remember, get these tutorials, and if your order is at least $50, then you'll get supplies for 2 cards in the mail. And the 2 cards that you'll get in the mail this month to make are these 2 guys here. So some cool techniques with blends and some cool features of that designer series paper. So if you have any questions, as always, let me know. LovenStamps.com is a great place to check out what I'm doing and get a hold of me. And I look forward to sharing more projects with you soon using these really fun stamp sets. Happy stamping!